Union Station opened in 1925 and is now the last remaining passenger terminal for inner-city trains in Chicago. The station is located on the west side of the Chicago River between Adams Street and Jackson Street, just outside of the Loop. Union Station stretches to about 9.5 city blocks long, most of its residing entirely underneath the city. The station was designed by Daniel Burnham, who unfortunately died before it could even be completed. Burnham's surviving partner, Ernest Graham, and his team finished the station. The project didn't begin until 1913, being delayed by World War I several times due to labor shortages and strikes. The station took a total of 12 years to be constructed and was finally opened on May 16, 1925. It has been dubbed an outstanding achievement in railroad facility planning. The station's ornate main waiting room, or the Great Hall, is one of the greatest interior public spaces in the U.S. During World War II, Union Station was at its busiest, having as many as 300 trains and 100,000 passengers, most of them soldiers. When more people began owning their own cars and the construction of highways took off, the traffic at the station declined severely. In 1991, renovations of Union Station began. The skylight in the Great Hall was restored, which had been blacked out during the war. Union Station is still undergoing renovation today, and many spaces in it have yet to be redone and are going unused. In 2010, the current owners of the station, Amtrak, announced that for the very first time, the Great Hall would be air-conditioned. One of the best-known scenes from the movie The Untouchables, starring Robert De Niro, Kevin Costner, and Sean Connery, was filmed in Union Station. The film was based on the imprisonment of Chicago gangster Al Capone, the scene an exaggeration of the capture of his bookkeeper. Chicago, over the years, has become a major hotspot for on-location filming in blockbuster movies.
Millennium Park is located on Michigan Avenue at Columbus Drive. Before the park was built, the area consisted of a lot of railroad tracks, and it was an unattractive part of the city. In 1977, civic groups proposed the idea of the park, but since they had no government backing, the idea went nowhere until the late 1990s, when the idea was proposed again by Mayor Daley. This time, the proposal was accepted and construction of the park began. The park was supposed to open in 2000, which is why it is called Millennium Park, but the project took longer than originally anticipated, so it didn't end up opening until July of 2004. Some of the popular attractions at Millennium Park are the J. Pritzker Pavilion, Harris Theater, Crown Fountain, Lurie Garden, Cloud Gate, and the BP Footbridge. The Pritzker Pavilion was designed by Frank Gehry at the center of the park. It is an outdoor concert venue that seats 4,000 people and 7,000 more on the Great Lawn. Different genres of concert music are played at least once a week. The Joan W. and Irving B. Harris Theater of Music and Dance is an indoor venue that seats 1,500 people. People come to see ballets and hear chamber music concerts here. The Crown Fountain was designed by Spanish artist Jaume Plensa. It consists of two 50-foot glass block towers at each end of a reflecting pool. Images of diverse Chicagoans appear on the blocks as a reference to the traditional use of gargoyles. The 2.5-acre Lurie Garden features mostly native plants found in Illinois. There is also a 15-foot-high shoulder hedge that represents Carl Sandburg's description of Chicago as the city of big shoulders. The Cloud Gate was designed by British artist Amish Kapoor. It was inspired by liquid mercury and reflects the Chicago skyline. It is 33 feet tall and weighs 100 tons. There is also a 12-foot arch where people can look at their reflections and take pictures. The BP Footbridge, commonly called the Snake Bridge, is a 925-foot-long bridge that connects Millennium Park with Daley Bicentennial Plaza. This was also designed by Frank Gehry. From the bridge, people get great views of the Chicago skyline and Lake Michigan. Its wooden structure also makes it easy for people with disabilities to use it. Some other attractions at Millennium Park are the Millennium Monument, McCormick Tribune Plaza and Ice Rink, Chase Promenade, Boeing Galleries, and the Exelon Pavilion Center. Buckingham Fountain was commissioned by Kate Buckingham in 1927 in honor of her late brother, Clarence. The fountain was inspired by European fountains, which Kate had seen and admired while traveling in Europe. She also left money for Chicago to maintain the fountain. Buckingham Fountain's design is based on the Bassin de la Tonne at the Versailles Palace in France, and it was built by Edward H. Bennett, the constructor of the Michigan Avenue Bridge. The fountain is 23 feet high and is surrounded by 4 pairs of bronze seahorses. The seahorses represent the states bordering Lake Michigan, including Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and the fountain represents Lake Michigan itself. The seahorses were created by French sculptor Marcel F. Loyal, winner of the Prix National at the 1927 Paris Salon. Buckingham Fountain is one of the largest fountains in the world. It measures 280 feet in diameter and has 134 jets powered by 3 pumps. Every hour, the fountain has a 20-minute water display. Starting with small sprays, the basins fill up and jets are activated. Finally, the central jet pushes water up 150 feet high. The best time to see the show is after 8 p.m. when music plays with it, and it is accompanied by computerized color spotlights. Navy Pier, originally called Municipal Pier, opened in 1916 as a shipping and recreational facility. Construction went from May 1914 to 1916. It was a successful facility at first, but after a while of being open, success began to decline toward the end of the 1920s. Cars and movie theaters were competition for the recreation on the pier. Another factor that led to the decline was that trucks and the Depression made less need for shipping. In 1927, Municipal Pier was renamed in honor of World War I veterans. It was named Navy Pier, which is still its name today. In 1941, it was converted to a military training center, which was used throughout World War II. From 1946 to 1964, Navy Pier was used as a college campus until 1965, when UIC was moved to its new location. After the 1970s, Navy Pier began to revitalize and redevelop into Chicago's most visited attraction. In 1976, the auditorium building at the east end of the pier was restored by Jerome R. Butler Jr., and it became a landmark in 1977. The City of Chicago and State of Illinois installed the Metropolitan Pier and Expositions Authority in 1989 and committed $150 million to reconstruction as a recreational center. This renovation by Benjamin Thompson was from 1992 through 1994, and 50 acres of gardens and parks were created. 2 of Navy Pier's major buildings are Head House and the Auditorium. Both buildings were designed by Charles Summer Frost in 1916. The name Head House derived from the area, which was known as the Headlands. Each tower of it had a 2 million liter tank for the sprinkler system. It is now Chicago's Children's Museum and Gateway Park, with a granite fountain with 240 jets. At the other end of the pier is the auditorium, also known as the Hall. In the auditorium is the Grand Ballroom with its 138 by 150 feet and a 100 feet high domed ceiling. Another of Navy Pier's famous attractions is the Ferris wheel, measuring 150 feet high. It is located on the upper deck of Navy Pier, lasts for 17 minutes, and is open year-round. The original Ferris wheel was built for the Columbian Exposition in 1893 and could seat 16 people in one car. Other attractions you can find at Navy Pier are the 18-hole miniature golf course, remote-controlled boats, the IMAX theater, dance and acrobatic shows, the musical carousel with 36 hand-painted animals, and the family pavilion and food court. The Chicago Theater, also known as the Wonder Theater of the World, is located on North State Street near the Loop area of Chicago. It was originally named the Balaban and Katz Chicago Theater because in 1921, Abe and Barney Balaban and Sam and Morris Katz had built it. They made Chicago Theater the flagship for 28 other theaters in Chicago. It was designed by architects Cornelius W. Rapp and George L. Rapp and cost them $4 million to build. The Chicago Theater was one of the first buildings in the nation to be designed like Rapp, and Rapp's signature neo-Baroque French Revival style, and to this day it stands as one of the oldest survival buildings in this style. It's 7 stories tall and almost takes up half a city block with a noticeable famous marquee that is featured in numerous movies and TV shows set in Chicago. Its neon font was used in the title of the 2002 film Chicago. On the facade of the Chicago Theater is a design similar to the l'Arc de Triomphe in Paris. On the inside of the arc is a circular Tiffany stained glass window that shows the cost of arms of the Balaban and cat's chain, which is 2 horses holding ribbons of 35mm film in their mouths, outlined by a border of film reels. On the inside, the Chicago Theater shows French Baroque influence from the Second French Empire. When you walk into the grand lobby, you can see the influence of the Royal Chapel at Versailles in the Chicago Theater's 5 stories, which is surrounded by gallery promenades at the mezzanine and balcony levels. The grand staircase is patterned like the inside of the Paris Opera House and climbs to the various balcony levels. Marshall Field and Company supplied interior decorations like drapes and furniture. The crystal chandeliers and bronze light fixtures fitted with Steuben glass shades were designed and built by Victor Perlman and Company. Inside this great building and among the beautiful architecture, many famous people performed in the Chicago Theater. During its first 40 years, the best in live and film entertainment performed here, including John Philip Sousa, Duke Ellington, Jack Benny, and Benny Goodman. In our times, people like Kelly Clarkson, Ellen DeGeneres, Indigo Girls, Alicia Keys, David Letterman, Dolly Parton, Prince, Diana Ross, and Robin Williams have performed here as well.
Along with designing Union Station and half of Chicago's other famous buildings, Daniel Burnham brought to life the Field Museum of Natural History. The museum first made its debut on September 16, 1893, as the Columbian Museum of Chicago, becoming a large attraction in the World's Columbian Exposition. But in 1894, trustees voted to change the name of the institution to the Field Columbian Museum, naming it after one of the museum's largest benefactors, Marshall Field. Originally, the museum was located in Jackson Park, but was set to be moved to its current location in Grant Park along the lakeshore front in 1914. But it did not go over without an argument. Montgomery Ward was the protector of the lakefront, wanting to keep it clear of any development, so it was no shock to anyone that he took Daniel Burnham to court after hearing the architect's plan of building a cultural metropolis in Grant Park, filled with museums. It was a fight to the end, but finally the Illinois Central Railroad offered the museum officials use of some landfill they owned on the shores of Lake Michigan, just south of Grant Park. On May 2, 1921, the new museum was opened in Grant Park. In 1943, trustees met again to change the name to Chicago Natural History Museum, but the name was switched back to Field Museum of Natural History in 1966. The only building remaining in Jackson Park after the World's Columbian Exposition was the Palace of Fine Arts, now known as the Science and Industry Museum. The museum holds over 20 million specimens. 3 times in its lifetime, the Field Museum has served as a temporary home for the treasures of Tutankhamun, which drew in millions of visitors. The museum's collection ranges from dinosaurs to DNA, from bugs to Indian artifacts and mummies. In May of 2000, the Field Museum received one of its greatest treasures, Sue. Sue is the largest, most complete, and best preserved Tyrannosaurus rex ever discovered. She is named after her founder, paleontologist Sue Hendrickson, and the giant fossil now stands to greet her millions of visitors at the front entrance. In 2006, the field opened another permanent exhibit, Evolving Planet, which takes people through all the changes and evolutions our world has gone through over the course of billions of years. The Field Museum, the Adler Planetarium, and the John G. Shedd Aquarium are regarded as among the finest of their kind in the world, attracting more visits than any comparable site in Chicago.
The old water tower is located on Michigan Avenue in the center of the Magnificent Mile. Its construction lasted from 1867 to 1869 using big limestone blocks. Its architect William W. Boyington gave it a tiny European medieval castle look. Because of this style, the old water tower's antique look really stands out amongst all the modern buildings surrounding it. It is also dwarfed by the surrounding buildings standing at only 154 feet. The pumping system was built to provide the city with clean water pumped from intake bins that were in Lake Michigan. The old water tower was the only public building to survive the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. Yet it became functionally obsolete in 1906. Because of this, it was threatened with demolition in 1906, 1918, and 1948. Thanks to a public outcry, the tower remains. It was completely restored in 1962 and has been renovated several times, including 1913 through 1916, and then again in 1978. The old water tower was selected by American Waterworks Association in May of 1969 as the first American water landmark. Now, the old water tower stands as a museum housing galleries showcasing work from local photographers. The Richard J. Daley Center was originally known as the Chicago Civic Center. It's located at the heart of the Loop. It was designed by the architect Jacques Brownson of C.F. Murphy Associates. The project costed $87 million and started February 28, 1963. It was first occupied in May 1965. The architectural style based on world-famous architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. With its 31 floors, it stands as the tallest flat-roofed building in the world with fewer than 40 stories. It was the first major public building to be constructed in a modern architectural style and first building ever to be made with untreated corrosive tensile steel. The steel strengthens the structure and develops a natural rust patina, giving it its distinctive red and brown color. It went from being called the Chicago Civic Center to being the Richard J. Daley Plaza on December 17, 1976, in honor of the late mayor who died in office on December 20, 1976. It was designed as a Chicago landmark on November 6, 2002, due to its association with a significant person and retaining a high degree of architectural integrity. The statue that stands in the Daley Center Plaza is known as the Chicago Picasso, or the Picasso. This three-dimensional cubist sculpture, which stands 50 feet tall and weighs 162 tons, was designed by Pablo Picasso. On behalf of Chicago, local architect and senior of Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, LLP, William E. Hartman, personally approached Pablo Picasso to create a larger-than-average sculpture to complement the soon-to-be-built Civic Center, the Richard Daley Center. Picasso agreed and even offered it as a gift to Chicago. The sculpture was revealed to the public on August 15, 1967. Picasso never explained what the sculpture was meant to represent, so it leaves a mystery for those who visit it to wonder what it really is. The structure catches everybody's eye, no matter how young or old. For a mature, older audience, it leaves them to make their own theories of what it is. But for the young, spirited children, it is a fun sculpture that they could slide off and take pictures with their friends. Grant Park's beginnings date to 1835, when foresighted citizens, fearing commercial lakefront development, lobbied to protect the open space. Officially named Lake Park in 1847, the site soon suffered from lakefront erosion. The Illinois Central Railroad agreed to build a breakwater to protect the area in exchange for permission for an offshore train trestle. Due to erosion, the land was constantly swamped until after the Great Fire of 1871. In 1901, the city transferred the park to the South Park Commission, which named it for Ulysses S. Grant. It was named this from 1822 to 1885. At the end of the 19th century, plans were made to develop the area and construct large buildings and commercial property in the park. but a Chicagoan citizen, Aaron Montgomery Ward, wanted the park to remain open space as had already been decided in 1836, and brought the case to court. After almost 20 years of battle in court, he won the case in 1911. It remained an open space, offering great views on the cliff of buildings on Michigan Avenue. At the turn of the 21st century, the north end of the park is undergoing a multi-million-dollar facelift as railroads are transformed into Millennium Park. Proudly referred to as Chicago's front yard, Grant Park is among the city's loveliest and most prominent parks. Located between Michigan Avenue and Lake Michigan, the park includes the museum campus, a 1955 transformation of paved areas into beautiful green space. Grant Park's centerpiece is the Clarence Buckingham Memorial Fountain, built in 1927 to provide a monumental focal point while protecting the park's breathtaking lakefront views. The Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, is located on Wacker Drive. The skyscraper was designed by architect firm Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. It was completed on May 3, 1973. Its first official name was Sears, Roebuck & Company. Its 3.8 million feet squared of office and retail space was originally intended for the department store Sears, although Sears never officially settled in. Sears naming rights officially expired in 2003, and in 2009, a London-based insurance broker, Willis Group Holdings, leased a portion of the building and received naming rights. As of July 16, 2009, the Sears Tower was officially renamed the Willis Tower, although many people still refuse to call it that. The Willis Tower is 110 stories high and was initially 1,450 feet tall. Antennas were added in 1982, which made the building 1,704 feet tall. In 2000, an antenna was extended to 1,729 feet, making it the tallest building in the world. The Willis Tower maintained its reputation as the tallest building in the world from 1973 through 1998, until Burj Dubai surpassed it enormously. The Willis Tower remains the tallest building in the United States, but comes in 7th in the world. Now, the Willis Tower is used for office space, observation, and communication. The original observation deck opened on June 22, 1974. It remains on the 103rd floor, 1,353 feet above the ground. There is also an observation deck on the 99th floor, which is used when the one on the 103rd floor is closed due to weather conditions or any other situations. The observation tour consists of a short film on the building's history, and the observation deck on the 103rd floor consists of an amazing view, telescopes, and fun facts. On January 2009, Willis Tower owners created the Sky Deck renovation, consisting of glass balconies. These glass balconies extend 4 feet over Wacker Drive and allow you to see beneath your feet as if you're standing in midair. There are future plans for the Willis Tower. On February 2009, there were plans to paint the structure silver to highlight advances in energy efficiency and rebrand the building. The costs estimate to $50 million, but are not official.